Noam Chomsky, to corroborate what you're saying from a different perspective, Noam Chomsky, the linguist, and obviously you all know Noam Chomsky, the activist, the peace activist, but Noam Chomsky, in his days as a linguist, said that one of the, without imputing a moral value to it, he said that European stock, European peoples, the language of Indo-European that was developed, Proto-Indo-European, was what he called a predicative language. A predicative language means that you have a subject acting upon something else. Our whole legal system and government system is built on the nature of its predicative, okay? Predicative, he said, arises out of the asymmetry of the human brain, that you have something holding something else. And that's the predicative nature of linear thought, of logical thought, and of language. When that interposes itself upon a non-predicative culture, what you have is a clash, and the ability of that culture to use non-logical means to arrive at conclusions is altered, and hence, if that can be seen as the problem of North America, then that's one way of looking at it. We have to go to, as Warner Wolf would say, let's go to the videotape. Ron, did you cue this? Okay, roll tape. We'll do questions afterwards. Lights. Let there be darkness.
Is there life elsewhere in the universe? Many believe the UFO story began here with the atomic bomb. People have seen strange things in the sky since ancient times, but the number of sightings seemed to suddenly make a quantum leap shortly after the atomic bomb. Which leads some to wonder, when we humans let the nuclear genie out of the bottle, did we inadvertently send an atomic smoke signal to the universe?
What is it that makes a city stand out in the history books? Is it location, or is it the events and colorful characters that have become a part of the American folklore that draws attention to places that would be otherwise overlooked? Who would remember Tombstone, Arizona, if Wyatt Earp, his brothers, and Doc Holliday hadn't paid a visit to the OK Corral? Menlo Park, New Jersey would be nothing more than another small town if Thomas Alva Edison had chosen another area to light up with his genius. And Plymouth, Massachusetts would have been just another East Coast town with a little rock if it wasn't for the Mayflower. Some areas for those of us who fly, the route is not direct. Most would fly into Albuquerque or El Paso and then drive the 200 miles to get there. But nonetheless, Roswell has a long history with many notable people and events. Robert H. Goddard, the father of modern rocketry, also chose Roswell as his home base from 1930 to the mid-40s. Many notables of that age supported Goddard's experiments and visited Roswell often. It was not uncommon to see the likes of Charles Lindbergh or Harry Guggenheim walking down the main street of Roswell. In 1935, Goddard became the first man to shoot a liquid-fueled rocket faster than the speed of sound, and that rocket was fired from his lab in Roswell. Roswell was also the home of the Roswell Army Airfield. The airfield played a vital part in the ending of World War II. It was part of a top-secret test complex. The Manhattan Project was in full swing, the creation of the first hydrogen bomb. New Mexico was the place, and the Roswell, Alamogordo, White Sands complex was the center of it all. When the first atomic bomb was tested, it was tested at the Trinity site, about 100 miles from Roswell. At the end of World War II, the Enola Gay, her crew, and the 509th Bomb Group moved to Roswell, making the Roswell Army Airfield the only nuclear strike airbase in the world. As you can see, Roswell was touched by history more than once. But none of these events or people that we have looked at are the reason that Roswell, New Mexico remains in the history books. If you visit Roswell today, you may find it interesting that billboards and signs around town have the image of a flying saucer or a UFO on them.
What makes a good soldier? Now that the Cold War is over, many former U.S. military officers who were privy to top-secret information about UFOs are choosing to set the record straight. At Roswell's 50th anniversary, the highest-ranking officer yet, retired Colonel Philip Corso, released his much anticipated The Day After Roswell, in which he reports having actually witnessed one of the dead aliens while on duty at Fort Riley, Kansas in 1947. He later went on to serve in the National Security Council under President Dwight Eisenhower and in the Army's Research and Development Department under Lieutenant General Arthur Trudeau.
Are the aliens still a threat, and are there more than one race coming here?
Well, we thought that these aliens were clones, built specifically for space travel. And they were many of our flying saucer experiments have failed because of the guidance system. We felt they were the guidance system. They were part of the mystery. And we also felt they were created by superior race. I think if scientists takes a hand in it, they can look at what we know about the extraterrestrials. And we know quite a bit, but we don't know enough.
Countries in Europe are taking this very serious. They're not like us here. They're not going to put out stories that there were dummies came out of the air or people with big heads. Those people are a little more serious about this than we are.
Retired Colonel Philip J. Corso, a member of President Eisenhower's National Security Council and former head of the Foreign Technology Desk at the U.S. Army's Research and Development Department, recently came forward to reveal that he led a double life while in the military. On the outside, he researched and evaluated weapon systems for the Army, while deep inside the Pentagon, in his memoir, The Day After Roswell, he was responsible for the Army's most deeply guarded secret, the Roswell Files.
I had the evidence that a crash did happen here. Stalin gave orders to get this information that came out of Roswell to some of his top scientists and agents. That order went out. And we knew that in the special intelligence that I was in the Pentagon, which was very closely held. KGB trying to penetrate that, but they never did.
According to Corso, the military seeded the industrial complex with components discovered in the wreckage near Roswell. He says that ultimately, these gave rise to today's integrated circuit chips, fiber optics, lasers, and stealth technology. The retired colonel recently made an appearance at the 50th anniversary of the Roswell incident, and when asked about criticism from skeptics, he responded.
I asked him this, were you there with me? Were you part of this? Were you cleared? Did you have the clearances? They can't answer those questions. All they do is criticize with no evidence. The message in my book that I like to see is that the younger generation look at this and see what we did and see the help we got from outer space, and these beings exist. Give us a